Take it out and do it again. Yeah. Oh, those are nice. That's better.
Smile, Duncan.
Okay.
Thank you.
You can just see the iron tail mostly there. So it's taking about a minute. No. That's nice. You remember the underside of the aircraft wing almost? The old brother Germans last night, they're doing the lecture on the Mars missions, and something there that it's the size of most of the galaxy, you know, a fish line called Antaculus. Right. And that is 70 million.
Tell you what, Danny, could you tell Agnes about the telescope? My wife. And
I'll tell these chaps as well.
Oh, if they wish. Yes. Let them have first priority. Fine.
I did some better ones last year of the 100 times here for the whole Two pictures of it, we've got big red lights on the high class of aeroplanes, but no switching on the wall, and I'll try to take pictures of someone's come out of suit. I should know you all these lights. But I want to tell you, that's what I'm calling after party pictures. I want to talk to the film that we've done. Tell you something to the reflection. There's Hi. Hi. Come on in. It's all art students, and this place is all young artists. I could be asking you to go back and show the video on the Aquajet rockets, and it's a wee room, it's the size of this observatory, and they have a little projector, a video projector, and project my video on the big screen. And it was all artists, as this guy being in Romania or wherever, sculptors, and another guy in Poland, and another the girl went in Australia, and it was absolutely a quality snapshot in the museum, and one of these exchange student things. So, and then I gave a talk in Aquajet rockets. It's an excellent place for Astra exhibition. I'm gonna be over to see Mrs. Johnson. I'm gonna put my shop. I'll be back in 5 minutes.
No bother. It's not very busy.
Right.
You want a kid to get up an update. We here last year, and the year before, and the year before. What was it? Oh, it's class now. Right, cheerio. I think because it was solar. Solar have been done today, because I think they come in and explain it.
The brass work is a superb piece of work done there, and Paul and I took it down until we saw that, and we saw the fitting on it. There's no way, we had the telescope dismantled for 6 months. We'd been working on it for 6 months at its component stages with all the components dismantled. We'd taken nitromorph to the black paint. We'd taken the same nitromorph to the red lead under the black paint. We then tried to take nitromorph to the green lead underneath the red lead, and it wouldn't budge, so we had to basically take that down by hand all the way to the brass. We got it down to the brass was stored and fitted through no action of ours, I hasten to admit. The situation was that we thought the effort that it was going to take to go through it and bring it up to a permanent state like this wasn't justified because we needed to get the telescope back into operation. And we decided to repaint it white rather than black, so the instrument was clearly visible when it was in use. Brass does exactly the same thing, it reflects the light, so it makes the instrument visible. It's a very good safety aspect. And we prayed for a black dome, which the council replaced green outside and black inside. The black minimises the reflection from the sodium lighting and allows your eyes to adapt, which lets you make even more use of the telescope in the limited surroundings it's in. Whereas at the time the Airdrie Observatory had a white painted interior dome because Health and Safety wanted it that way. And Health and Safety owned the museum that owned the observatory. And for a couple of decades it was like that. For the last 6 months last year, I begged Peter McCormack to get a black dome when they replaced the copper dome. And they did. They replaced the copper dome and painted it black inside. And they are now in the situation where they're minimising the light pollution reflection of the inside of the dome at Airdrie. It's also been noticed yesterday when I was over at the Astronomical Society of Edinburgh's meeting at Carlton Hill. The City Observatory has a 6-inch refractor very similar to this, except it has a full aperture plate camera instead of the focusing mount system that we have here. And the result of that is you can do large sky plates with that, which is quite good. On the other hand, it's a very old-fashioned wooden plate camera, so you actually now have to use flat sheet film or roll film cut to sheets to fit in it to make use of it, so they don't use the camera a great deal. And I said to them, why don't they take it out and put in a CCD? So this is what they think you're doing. But their dome is gunmetal grey. And it turns out the gunmetal grey, like black, is quite a good paint covering for lack of reflection of the sodium lighting round about. So if you ever do get forced to change, you know, that's the thing. But this observatory was the one that set the precedent. You know, the health and safety was bowed down to, up until the point where we said, no, this is an operational observatory, it has to be black. Because if you make it any other colour, it will be to the detriment of the stability of the instrument.
The dome is painted again on the inside.
Yeah. Make sure it's black, and a matte black, not a gloss.
And a silk finish.
A matte or a silk. Well, I wouldn't actually go for a silk. I wouldn't go for a silk. I'll tell you why. Silk scatters light in all directions. Gloss scatters highlights. Whereas matte will absorb the reflected light. It may not look as flash, so to speak. Very much more efficient when you're in operation. I'm astonished at the work we've done on the telescope to bring up the brass.
We've actually debated when we had that stage that take the fitting out. We couldn't afford the money for the dried
It takes effort. You know, I mean, it's like panel beating, isn't it, basically?
It's not like dried peas, we've got some more in. What do we do with 200 weight of dried peas? That's a lot of soup. A lot of flatulence as well.
And there's a window.
Oh my God, you're going to get 100 weight of dried peas, please.
And there's a window location.
Put it up on the end without that.
I've been told by Duncan that the mounting is actually brass as well, and that you were thinking of taking the cradle part of the mounting down to likewise straight. And he said that you were sort of
the part of the arms are brass.
the pillar's cast.
The pillar's cast, and I think that the yoke itself is cast also. I don't think there's an awful lot more brass on it. Plus, we really got, we're quite limited to the time that we're doing it.
You've got the choice of having...
Braithwaite, there's only at the last minute. Everything has to be done for the end of the demise of Monkland District and the end of the financial year. There was a lot of things we think we could have done. We just haven't had time to do it.
I know.
Totally stripped the yoke.
Nice to see the silver work nice and bright again and the brass work on the surface.
Yes. Well, we get it cleared up. And all I've done since, well, I lacquered it all. So, I dusted it last Saturday. Well, the other, like a dust cover. You make a dust cover for it. It's looking for it. And I think that with the fitting, okay, we know it's quite old, and it's actually the authenticity of the character of it. So we can't say, this has been used. Because remember we had somebody over from the Royal Observatory, I can't remember who the Dickens it was. And we'd had, this is 2 years ago, we'd had we did a lunar event or something, and the drive had broken.
Right.
So when he came on the Friday night, we could use it on the Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday, they're also using it on the
Which was Astronomer Royal before Brown?
No, but there's some doctor along, I think that... I mean, he'd actually probably given it a talk. Anyway, I had to apologise to him because we sort of saying it manually. The thing was literally, and he went, so you use it. Yes. You know, yes, we use it. You know, I'm going to take to clean it up, you know. It's doing it manually. Anyway, I think we'll have a coffee. What's your coffee again? Is there any? Water? Need some water? Need some coffee? So, going back to this, it only clears up about 3:30, but
when everybody's going away, It's a great shame you didn't have an opportunity to do solar projections.
Well, I've got to have my television on.
I have videotaped VHS.
This will be the first open day we haven't done any solar projection in God knows how many years. I always managed to do it until today.
I've got an historical VHS videotape solar projection being done with this instrument, and it's the same paper and it's the same clips because I supplied them that are on the projection screen.
But we're going to get lost.
I said there were 4 of them and there's only 3 now. Duncan says one of them rusted away.
Oscar Kelly brings along his own version of photos, detections of paper, and takes his own photographs, and his bucket of ammonia, his block paper, and he's not bothered with that today. That's been it. We generally have various things where maybe a couple of computers on and maybe a wee exhibition to the Royal Observatory. But truthfully, it's always, I think, too much. It's not a big observatory. And when you get more than one group of people in, it tends to be...
There's so much to show them, and we really want to see the instrument.
Basically, yes. So it's been a good idea. It's been an open plan today, and it's worked.
It's very well organised. I've enjoyed visiting. Nice to see the instrument at the time of state.
2 years ago.
I mean,
in some ways, it was trying to just moonlock computers.
Yeah.
That's right. There's too many things. It doesn't really work, so...
I'll be honest with you, last night we got shown the 6-inch at the Carlton Hill, and I said, you see the ropes you've got for the clamp release, the same way as we have at Paisley, it's similar to the key release you have on the RA drive. I said, how do you train the spider to make the web parallel to that? The guy came around with so it's obviously that hasn't really been used for some time. I mean, that was the dead giveaway. The spider had spun a web exactly parallel to the string, so there was no way that had been used.
Yeah.
And the spider was still there. So, unfortunately, I don't have a picture. Didn't my camera with me. I went to the Royal Observatory once when the 36 inch was out of action, and there was a great big plaque outside that said, mirrors removed, do not operate 36 inch telescope. It's very top heavy. And it's an enormous skeleton tube reflector that would come round and kill you.
Yes.
And at the very bottom of it, there's a bicycle key. And I took a photograph of the bicycle key alongside the sign that said the instrument is being worked on. 36 inch reflector and a bicycle key. And I showed this to Alan Rickman at the Royal Observatory. And Alan Pickup at the Royal Observatory. And Alan Pickup was so mortified that he decided to hate me from that day on. So this was justified because he had balked at every single suggestion I'd made at the Royal Observatory. They had a video projection system, and I offered to show them 8.5 inch reflector, focal plane view with the lunar eclipse from beginning to end on VHS format tape. This was 1982 eclipse. About December or January, something like that. I can't remember the exact date. January. And at the time, it was almost state of the art. It was better than Patrick Moore broadcast on Sky at Night, so I say it myself. And he wouldn't let me show it to the people who were there. Now, I felt that was obstruction. I really did. That was not for the benefit of the science at all. But that was the way they were. No, didn't want to know. I mean, basically they've turned the place into a museum at Edinburgh. It's an excellent museum. All the optics out of all the instruments are now elsewhere. So I mean, there isn't a single instrument you can use for observing at Edinburgh. At the City Observatory you can still use an instrument for observing, but 6 inch refractor in the City of Edinburgh doesn't do a great deal. This will outperform it here because it's a better site. I mean, the sodium light standard at Edinburgh. And the heart reflects it all back down. Here at least we don't get as much of that. But it's interesting to note that of the entire planet, the 3 brightest points on the surface are central Tokyo, central New York and central Scotland. And they're only all outshone by the aurora.
No.
If you think
about it. The comet, yeah. But I mean, he's got some light pollution as well. You know, I think it's really good about it, and we've shown us other photographs and it's close to the airport in the morning, we've been by there. Gee whiz.
There's a nice picture of us, got comet. I like this.
I do, but that was a sample we had in Pompelia. You know what Pompelia is?
Yes.
It's halfway between Copenhagen and East, and it's not to the north. It's got a balance, so there's not an awful lot of light pollution.
Is it to the north or to the south?
That was to the north, so the north aspect is quite light. You've only got
you go to aurora and things like that.
You're missing lots of the street lamps.
You get the planetaries to the south, but you wouldn't get the beach.
Well, you're looking over the loch, and then there's woodland, but you can still see light pollution from Gary. That's that kind of direction. And obviously looking eastwards, lots of light pollution. But it's not a bad sight. It's that sight, it's not a bad sight. The best we're going to get here, you really got to go well out with the area, I think, to get these fish out there. People down that way, or up over the camps, of course.
Yeah, north for aurora, for noctilucent cloud.
Yeah,
and south. I'll tell you where you could go. It's another country park out by East Kilbride, just on the outskirts of East Kilbride. Life in me, I can't remember what it is. I've been there, I've made arrangements to do this, and you can drive into this at any time, day or night, it's permanently open. And the rangers will permit access if you speak to them. It's where we went with the children and things like that. I can't remember the name of it.
Well, the one that people wanted to put a wee observatory up in Sheffield.
Well, they were thinking about it.
Down near the Even Gorge, it's quite dark, you know, and you're sort of, you're out there. You know, you can climb back up over and then look down the vista into the valley. So it's not a bad sight at all.
It's a good sight, and that's John Braithwaite's old schoolhouse. He's got very dark sky there.
He seems to be where he is. He's just everything's sort of shielded.
Yes. And he's got the optics to sell you if you come to visit as well.
That's what I can do, straight in action, you know, and have a good sight for it. costume. Let's have a look at the street. I'm looking up the street where these markers are. See the faces we've got. And it's good. The neighbours out there, I said, there's somebody over there, we're playing good first time, Valley. Somebody has good binoculars, John. Very good. But, I haven't seen John for before.
Oh, give him a regard. John and I used to be buddies.
I used to put up there at least once a month, but meetings are good. I'll maybe get there next week. I may be have time next week.
He always wanted my pictures in the sky to sell telescopes with. I said, I take them with a camera, John. You can't possibly mislead people into believing these are telescopes used when they go through constellations.
That's it.
I refused on principle instead of making money. Foolish.
All you do is you put in these pictures that's taken by so-and-so. You don't actually say it. Through the telescope. If people want to read from that,
what's their interpretation?
Yeah, but it can come back on you. Someone comes in and spends a few £1,000 on a complex instrument, and then they can't do the same thing with it because you turn around and say, "Oh, you just need a camera to do that." They're not going to think very much if they bought the instrument because you said, or even suggested a slightest implication that you had done that. I refused Stan Smith, the same thing, when he had the optical place in, just round from Pierce. No, Stan Pierce, just round from optical. I'll be honest, neither of us are members. I mean, if you've brought this up for members, but I mean, if you have it to spare, I'd be delighted if it was all right. Thank you, that's lovely. Well, I suppose you could say that in a sort of a way, yes. I think you could say you've got a connection with me. I think it's called a wedding ring, yes. Well, the good thing is you can't get it off, so she's stuck with me. Agnes was here in 1978 when the Agnes was here in 1978 when the observatory was officially opened by Professor Vincent Reddish, the then Astronomer Royal for Scotland, in the company of John Fox, the Chief Librarian, and Tom Clark, the convener of the District Council, I think it was, or the Principal Officer, Chief Officer of the District Council at the time.